This morning, I had the opportunity to speak with Andrew Thomas Hunt. He is director for the Gore, the action-filled film Spare Parts. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me, Emmanuel.
Can you talk a little bit about the film for those who haven't heard of it yet?
Yeah, sure. It's a very fun, crazy genre mashup. I guess some reviewers have described it as Mad Max meets Green Room, and so I will take that that bastard child any day. Yeah.
It's a fun film, and me as a fan of cinema, I like to look at what a filmmaker like you will do with set designs and where you put your gore, camera angles, and things like that, because obviously the biggest payoff for this film is going to be those action scenes and how much fun people have with it. So I guess I'll start off with how do you take this from a David Murdoch script to this like kind of amazing, almost like backyard brawl scenes that you did that look so great?
Yeah, well, we knew that the action scenes had to kick ass, and that we couldn't skimp on them. So thankfully here in Toronto, there's a lot of great indie filmmakers, and one of which is a fellow by the name of James Mark, who did a film called Kill Order with his brother Chris. And we saw that and loved what he did with that, and so brought him on as our stunt coordinator. And so I worked with him, and we took the script and broke down the fight sequences and adapted it to kind of better suit our budget and our means. And we pre-visualized the entire fight sequences, figuring out all the camera angles and what beats were going to be on each angle, and then taught that to our actresses. And that way, when we were there on set on the day, we shot only what we needed. We weren't shooting any additional coverage, any unnecessary angles. So essentially what you're seeing on film for those fight scenes, it's pretty much all we shot. You know what I mean? Like there's no extra shots or footage on the editing room floor. You have to be very, precise, and efficient to do it on a low budget.
Wow, that seems super challenging to do, especially with the degree of difficulty that it seems that it would take. So I'm assuming there was quite a bit of rehearsals, maybe off camera, to make sure you guys got what you wanted.
We had 18 days to shoot the film, and we shot all the fight sequences in 6 days. So about 2 months prior to going to set, the girls started their training of just, again, we cast these girls because they had the physicality and they had stunt, background, they had that in their repertoire. But yeah, so they learned all that choreography. But yeah, on the day, they would rehearse a little bit, but they knew going in what they needed to do. And again, we just didn't have a lot of time to waste. Like when the camera was there, we had to roll. So yeah.
That's an amazing aspect to me of indie filmmaking, is your ability to be able to pivot and just to be able to get things done, knowing that you have so limited amount of time and budget. With that said, when I saw your arena in the film, I was really impressed by it because it looks really cool. How did that eat up a lot of the budget? Was that on like location in a car junkyard? How did that happen?
Yeah, you nailed it. It looks so real because it literally was real. We went to an auto wrecking yard up in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, and originally we were going to shoot that portion of the film inside. We had, again, we used an actual recycling facility for a lot of the film, and they had this big cavernous area inside their facility that I was going to use to build the arena. But a couple months before we were to do so, they changed their mind on us, said that we couldn't have that area, but they had an auto wrecking yard just a little north of their facility that we could use. So we went there and determined a place to build the set, and we crushed all the cars, or the cars that needed crushing, and we built, the set and made sure that it was, secure. It wasn't going to blow over or fall over. We had to excavate the ground so that we got rid of any kind of debris from glass and metal that was there, and brought in like 2 tons of sand to cover it. So yeah, It was the real deal, which actually in the end ended up being very cost effective.
That's great. That's good. That's good to hear. Now I want to move on to the gore aspect of it, because I'm gonna be real honest. I'm not very good with gore, and yet I'm a big fan of horror films and things like that. Something, especially the first time where she puts up her arm, and I see
Yeah.
that bone, I kind of just melted down on my chair a little bit, because it is just, I don't know. I can almost feel it. It was,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great.
That actually came about as a result of one of my partners. Originally, the script was that they got their arms completely severed, but he was like, "Well, wouldn't it be cool if like they just had still like a bone remaining that was like kind of cleared of all its flesh, and then like had some sort of attachment to it? Because then when you think about it, it actually gives you more leverage when you're wielding this weapon that's attached to you. You know, so we went with that, and yeah, maybe I'm desensitized, but I love that stuff. I can watch all the gore I want. But that said, I purposely made the decision to not make this film too gory. Like I wanted it to have its moments of like grossness that kind of, no pun intended, pop out at you. But like I didn't want it to be a blood-soaked film. You know what I mean? Like I could have went really over the top, but I just decided not to. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I was actually going to ask you that next, on how you did a good job at balancing the action between the gore, because your scenes, when it does happen, it has a little bit more effect. So how do you determine that while shooting?
yeah, that's exactly it. It's just about finding that balance. And again, like this is a genre mashup, so I didn't want it to be just an over the top carnage crazy film. Even though I love those films, like a film like Psycho Gorman or Turbo Kid, that was not the film I wanted to make. So and I also wanted to make sure that like the film had enough kind of character development and characters that you actually care about, that amidst all this kind of crazy fantastical world, that there's kind of feels like there's some real people there that you can hopefully identify with, or certainly feel for as they're going through this situation.
In a world where we see a lot of so much digital, it was really nice to see a lot of practical effects. With as far as the gore and the blood, it kind of took me back a couple moments to like Evil Dead and
Yeah.
stuff. Just that classic
Yeah.
look. Oh man, when you there's this one specific scene. It's early on, so I can talk about it. You cut off the guy's head. Is it early on? No, I don't even remember. Cut out the guy's head, and you almost have like a point of view looking
Yeah.
down. I was that was that was
Yeah.
gross, but it was good gross. It's all part
Yeah,
of it.
I want that was something that I wanted to make sure that like like you see a lot of decapitations in films, but like you just see like a bloody stump, and I wanted to make sure that like you saw like the windpipe and the spine and the muscles and like the layers of skin, and yeah, I wanted to make sure that that was all there. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean that's really what this film is about. It's about a good time. It's about fun. With that, I want to wrap it up with asking you questions. What do you hope uh, uh, viewers take away from Spare Parts?
Listen, I hope that they just have as much of a fun time watching it as we had making it. You know what I mean? Like this is like a fun kind of midnight movie. This is the movie to like get some friends around, grab a big bowl of popcorn, some good drinks, whatever your choice of drink may be, and crank up the music. The soundtrack for this film is the score for it is amazing. It should be played loud, and yeah, just have a blast watching it.
Andrew, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the insight on the behind the scenes on how it all came together.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Spare Parts, VOD digital, DVD, Blu-ray, January 1st. Sorry, not January, June 1st. I'm a little behind.
All good. Yeah, June 1st, 2021. All right. You too.
All right, take care.
All right.
Thank you.